the salt and the stuff white on it, get it off of there. And it took me, I don't know how many hours, an hour or two to dry it with the hair gun, because every time you thought it was dry, then the moisture would come back into the LED screen.
Right.
And then I knew I had to keep drying. So after I got it all dried out, I started looking to see why it didn't work, why it wouldn't come on. And I found it was the main power wire, the little red wire from the battery.
Yes.
Where it was connected to the little oh my God, the terminal, where
okay.
Damn it. The card, shit again. Think what the hell they call it. My mind goes blank here. But anyway, so I says, well, I'm going to need a soldering gun and I'm going to need solder. And she says, okay, and hops on her bike and off she goes to get. Now the money drawer is all there. No lock on it. It's just a wooden drawer that she pulls out. Everything there, and I have to keep up with this. And all of a sudden I see this woman with her hands on her hips standing out. And it was the girl's mother. Wanted to know, because I guess her daughter had been coming to them and getting stuff. And
right.
And she was looking like, what the hell are you doing? And so anyway, I got the soldering gun, and it was so bad. It was so old. And so I says, I'm going to need sandpaper or emily cloth to clean the tip even to get it to work. It wouldn't even get hot enough to melt the solder.
Mm-hmm.
And it took so long. And finally, I got it soldered, put it back together, hit the on button. Oh, no, I had her get the charger, put the charger on it, hit the on button, and it lit up the screen.
Wow.
So I put her back together. Well, while I was doing this, in comes a tourist. I don't know where he was from. I think the States, because he spoke that type of English, not British.
Sure.
And he sees me working on this camera. And he starts going, I've got a camera, blah, 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 blah. It don't do this. It's not doing this, and wanting me to fix it for him. I said, wait. I'm just helping her here. I'm not repairing cameras. And he was quite disappointed because I couldn't fix his camera. So I guess I should have got my shingle out and started a camera repair business.
Maybe so. Anyway, let me ask a question, because you're telling me these stories about all these kind and nice people. If I can believe John McAfee, he basically said the government was corrupt. It was full of people who were just scammers. Did you find that at all?
No, not really at all. In fact, you didn't have to really bargain for stuff. Of course, I'm not into buying stuff, but like at Alton Ha, they sold all kinds of wooden products and different things.
Right.
And I learned a long time ago when I was traveling in the Middle East that you had to bargain if you bought stuff, or else people would take your money.
Yes.
But at the same time, if you didn't want their stuff, and which in this case I didn't buy tourist stuff, it was really nice. You just looked at the people, looking right in the eyes, and you took your hands and moved them back and forth in front of you. You're like you were waving in front of your body, and they wouldn't say nothing to you. But if you act like you were not sure of yourself or kind of afraid of them, then they go after you.
Okay, so they
tried to sell you something.
But that wasn't so much a trying to flim-flam you. This was just, they were business people just trying to make a living.
Right. And it was really easy. I didn't have no trouble with anybody. Then some people, they think they do. Well, okay, the big cruise ships would come into Belize.
And they would land in Belize City?
No, because it wasn't deep enough. Channels weren't good. So they'd have to tie up a bunch of miles out, and they'd bring them in by water taxis.
Okay.
And that whole place there, if you go back to Hallover Creek, where it runs out there.
Yes.
That whole part on the point where the lighthouse is.
Yes.
On that side of the creek was all set up with businesses, and that's where they could get the buses to go to Alton Ha, to but they were, all the stuff that they sold there for Belize was in that one area there. So that's really all the people on the cruise ships when they get off, unless they take a tour, that's all they get to see of the city, of the country. In fact, it's kind of, it's weird.
Well, I'm looking right around the Baron Bliss Lighthouse, and just up from that, there's the Belize Cruise Terminal. So I guess and it looks like the taxi goes right past there, the San Pedro Ferry. So maybe they take them from the boats to that cruise terminal. Yeah,
well, no, they go to, if you'll hit on satellite again.
I'm on satellite.
See a whole different picture. Are you on satellite?
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah, see, where it says Fort Street Tourism Village, that's where they go. That's where all the stuff is lined up. And then if you want to take a taxi somewhere, the taxis are there. The big air-conditioned buses are there out on the street.
Okay.
You know, and that's about all they get to see. And unless, like I say, unless you have bought some kind of a tour program,
right,
like the Alton Howe or to somewhere else within the country. And but the boats, they tied up between now. Okay, well, not let me getting ahead of myself. So after I got through doing the camera, fixing her camera, she took all the different fruits she had and cut me up and made me a great big fruit salad.
Very nice.
For fixing her camera for her. And then I got a hug too. So that was nice. And so the next morning I was leaving. I caught the water taxi back to Belize City. I walked by her place, but she hadn't opened yet in the morning. So I never did find out if it did charge all the way up and work. It was kind of, I don't know, but it should have. Excuse me. So the next morning, then, like I said, I headed back to Belize City, back to the Belle Cove Hotel.
Yes.
And while I was there that day, I was out. I stayed on the second floor, and there was a balcony there. There was also a balcony on the third floor.
Okay.
The first floor, you walked out, and it was a boat dock, and there was two boats sitting out there. And I'm sitting there standing over the railing. This was the next day, and I'm looking down, and I see the guy that I seen him in the hotel there, and he was getting the boat ready. And then there was an older man and a young boy, about 9 years old, I guess, something like that. They were carrying fruit and stuff up there and laying it on the dock by the boat. And I hollered down to the guy that I'd seen at the hotel there, and I said, "Are you a taxi?" Because I knew the taxis, the boats run up that Hellover Creek. The chicken boats, whatever businesses are up there, that's what they all do it by boat. And right there behind the Belle Cove Hotel, he had them two boats tied up, or they had them boats tied. So I hollered, "Are you a taxi?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want to go somewhere?" And I said, "No, I was just curious to see if," and I didn't know it, but this woman who I found out later owned the hotel, she hollers down at me, "Do you want to go with them?" And I goes, "Well, is it going to cost me?" Because I did not know.
Sure.
And she says, "No, if you want to go, go." I says, "Thank you, ma'am." And I ran into my room, and I got my little rucksack with my camera and my first aid kit, and I hauled ass down to the boat. And I helped them load it. I helped them load all they had coconuts and not coconuts, but pineapples and mangoes, all kinds of different fruits and rice, and I don't know what all they had, and loaded up the boat, and we take off. And we head out, and where you come around the point there, you almost head straight to the right, and where we were talking about the drowned key, that is where we went. And it looks like a foot in the water with the toes pointed up. And on the back side, which would be the heel, there's a white spot. That's eventually where we ended up at, and that's Gallows Point. Up above, if you go straight north of Gallows Point, is St. George Key. This is where in the 1600s where the pirates hung out at.
Okay.
On that island, they tied their ships up there and go on their raids and stuff.
I'm on St. George. I'm on St. George Key. They've got Skull Paradise, Ecomar, La Casa Almar, George's Key. Okay, yeah,
Yep.
it's not a big island.
Not a big island at all, and even therapy cabins there. And so when somebody would get in trouble, one of their pirates or somebody they didn't get along with, they would come take them down here to that heel and Gallows Point, and that's where they would hang them. So
wow.
after we got to Gallows Point, we unloaded the boat, took it all up into the kitchen area and everything. And then the operator of the boat, when we got there, after we got everything carried in, the old man, on the way, I found out that he was the caretaker. The tourists weren't there yet at this time.
Okay.
And he was the caretaker, and that was his grandson that was there out of school and staying with him and helping him. So after we got everything loaded, he's going to cut us some coconut to drink coconut milk, cut the tops off, they do with the machete.
Sure.
Well, he cuts his finger. So I run back to the dock and I get my first aid kit and patch him. I had antibiotics and Band-Aids, and I got him all patched up. Then we drank our coconut milk. And then the operator of the boat that took us out there, he says, come on. And we started walking around that Gallows Point and took me to the cemetery where they buried the people they hung there.
Wow.
Pirates and stuff that they hung there. And showed me the graves, and like I said, some of the markers were even there yet. You couldn't read them, and they were weathered really bad and stuff, but they were made out of wood. And so anyhow, just walked around the island, or not the island, around Gallows Point, and then we got in and headed back. Well, on the way out there, there's a manatee. That ain't right. Manatee, a manatee, and a bird sanctuary.
Okay.
And we went close to that. And then when we come back, he took me right out kind of into the sanctuary where the tour groups would go out there and swim with the manatees and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Well, we seen two of them, but they would, as soon as you got pretty close to them, they would dive under.
Sure.
So I didn't get no pictures of them. I just see their back or their tail or whatever. But it was one of the most interesting trips that I just fell into, because I asked if he was a taxi. Well, when I got back, I thanked the woman, and that's when she told me that when her father died, he gave her the Bell Cove Hotel and the Bell Cove Island Lodge on Gallows Point. And so she was running that. That's how she was living. And it was fantastic. Learned a lot. And they also, you could see the where they had the oil derricks out there too, above St. George's Key, where they were pumping oil out of the Mediterranean.
Okay. So there's an oil business in Belize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and you could see the ships that were picking it up, and the tank. Some of the tankers, they weren't real big. They were small tankers,
right,
and stuff like that. So anyway, we get back to the Bell Cove Hotel, and I talked to the woman. I thanked her very much and told her I really appreciated that. And like I said, then we sat and talked. Well, after towards evening time, I go down at the bottom floor there. Like I said, I was on the second floor. Went downstairs by the office, and there was a Cuban guy and his wife there.
Okay.
And so I started talking to him. He spoke really good English, and I asked him, "Well, how do you get to travel around and stuff, from Cuba?" And he said, because my family was an old Spanish family. I have dual citizenship. We kept our Spanish citizenship and Cuban citizenship.
Okay.
And so we're just chit-chatting. And then he told me about that. Had I wanted to, I could have flew from Belize to Cuba. Even though I'm an American, they just give you a piece of paper